That's the key. Now, when we get into this objection handling, here's what you're going to do. Because when you get to the next best step, you're going to say, well, I got to follow up. No, no, no. Don't use the F word in business, meaning don't follow up. You don't call up and say, hey, I'm just checking in. Hey, I'm just following up. No, don't do that. That is amateur style sales. That is amateur. So you can use things like, hey, as requested, I'm getting back to you on the information. Here's another one that I use, and this one is awesome. In fact, I'm going to be sending this out to 2 people today. I have overcome objection, and they're just stalling. And so what they're doing is, and when I say next best step, they're like, well, why don't you check back in with me in a month? And I'll say something like this. Absolutely, totally get it. Just a quick question though. What's going to change in a month? So when I follow up with you, right? When I check back in with you, no. As requested, when I call you in a month, what will have changed? Like, what are we actually waiting for in that month? And then they try to come up with some excuse, and I'll share with you why it's going to come down to only a couple. So right now, after several times of reaching out to them, guess what my text is going to be? Hey, John, curious, have you given up on coaching? Hey, Steve, have you given up on getting your time back and having somebody else take over your bookkeeping? It's pretty bold, but I'm telling you, this one right here is one of the best responses I ever get. No, don't give up on me. I totally want to do this, and then they give me all the reasons. Okay. Here's another good one. I'll send in a text message. Hey, I want you to know that we have the best solution for you. Only you can make that decision. I can't make the commitment for you, but once you commit, I won't let you fail. Okay. It's those types of things. Guys, get clear on how you quote, I'm just going to use it here on quote, how you follow up. On the next best step, get really clear on the language you're using. If you're not sure, use tools like ChatGPT. Say, hey, I need to follow up with this person based on this, but I don't want to use the word checking in or following up. help me craft that. Okay. Follow up or checking in means it's your activity to do, and it's not about their value, right? Look at the ones above here as I put on the screen. As requested, have you given up? Hey, I want you to know that we have the best solution. None of those are me saying I'm following up. Me saying I'm following up means I don't know what to say next. Understand? Okay. So that's the key. Now, in between, as I said, you're going to get into some closing. Now, I have a photo here of Myron Golden. He's a legend in sales. And I went back through and I was like, I know that some of these I learned somewhere. And I was trying to think, where was it? And I was going back through old notes. And I found a spot where I went through one of Myron's trainings and he talked about a couple of his closing techniques. And in fact, I'm going to even be repurposing some of my sales process to pre-frame some of these. Okay. One of the things he said recently on a call I was on is he said, I don't get a lot of objection. I was like, that's interesting. And he said, because all the objection is an unresolved question I did not answer in my sales presentation. Ooh, think about that. All the objection really is an unresolved question I didn't answer or expose during my presentation. Okay. So I'm going to go through this, and then I want you to think about how you could adapt this for yourself. Okay. And I'm going to give you an example of mine. He calls it the all my cards on the table close. And I personally, as a high D, if you don't know what that means, it's a high driver behavior. For me, I'm a high D. I love the all my cards on the table close personally, as somebody who you might be presenting to, right? Because it builds immediate trust and it clears mental space for the conversation, especially if you're teaching. So I'll give you an example, right? Again, I'll use my business and then you adapt this for you, because you guys could all use something like this. So when I do my presentation, either in the Insider Idea, which for me is my webinar, or it's on my sales call. I've started doing this on my sales call. I'll say, hey, again, let me give more context. Sorry, I jumped into it. On my sales presentation, right, I've got people coming in for a complimentary coaching call, and I'm going to go through an assessment. I'm going to talk to them about the things. And then at the end, I'm going to share with them how they can do business with us, like being in this program or one-on-one coaching. But what I've recently shifted to is this. I'll say, hey, have you ever been to one of those presentations where it feels like they're going to teach you something, but then at the end, all they're really going to do is disguise it as a pitch or a close, right? Have you ever been to one of those? Yeah, of course. This is not that. Okay. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to share with you. But at the end, I am going to ask you if it makes sense how we could continue to get more information and work together. Is that fair? Okay, cool. But why don't I just tell you right now that I do have something to offer you, and it's $10,000. And so now we can get that out of the way and we can just focus on learning. How about that? Right? Or you could say something like, hey, I know I'm here to talk to you about and go through a proposal on landscaping, and I'm here to share with you on what we could do. But I just want to get all the cards on the table so I can then get this out of the way first. Let me just share with you that the proposal, based on what you shared with me, is, $800 a month. Okay. Now what we can do is get that out of the way. And I just want to share with you how we came to $800 and how we can then answer any of your questions. Is that fair? Okay, good. You just get it out of the way. You get all the cards on the table right out of the gate. Okay. Because here's the thing. Most people know when you're presenting, you're going to be pitching something, right? Even if it's in the virtue of a proposal you're going to go through. And so people need to get the mental space to now hear everything else you're going to say. Think about that. If you're waiting for the price, all you're obsessing over is, okay, get to the price, get to the price, get to the price. And then they missed everything else you presented. So if you can get all your cards on the table up front, you can overcome the price objection, because now I love the example that Myron says. I'll use his example too. He says, when he's doing a presentation, he'll say, have you ever, been to something where you wait till the end and then they tell you the price and how to work together? And you guys know that I offer that. So let me just be clear. If you want to work with me at the end, I'll share with you how you can. But I just tell you right now, it's $87,000 to work with me, which it is. It's $87,000 for his program. He says, what's fascinating is when he puts that on the table, you know what they say in the beginning? There's no way I could pay $87,000 to work with Myron. There's no way. And then by the end of it, he's given them so much value. You know what their thoughts in their mind is? How do I find $87,000 to work with Myron? Right? But because he's already got that out of the way. He already put that out of the equation. Okay. Really powerful one. I want you to start thinking about, how could I potentially put that on the table? I'll give you one other final example before I belabor this and beat this one to death. Right now on my sales presentation, when they get on the call, the way I'm saying it is I say, hey, at the end of this, again, I position it all exactly the same way. I'm going to share with you how you can work with me, et cetera. But to work with me one-on-one, and any of my clients that work with me, it's between $25,000 and $40,000 a year. And so I just want to put that out on the table. So if, as we go through this, you're thinking about how that may work, you could then ask me questions about how that we could make that work at the end. Is that fair? Yes. Well, then when I share with them Impact Mastery is only $10,000, they've already been preparing themselves for 25 to 40. Does that make sense? And so it's such a great way to start to position the presentation. And some of you experienced that on our calls when I've gone through that with you. Okay. Let me share with you the other one. He calls it the no permission decision close. I've been using this one for a long time, and it wasn't until I went back through my notes, I was like, this is where I got this from, because I've been using it for years. The no permission decision close. This one is big, and I'm going to just share with you why. This is the one where you got to remove the need of someone else's approval to make the decision. You guys probably all get this. Oh, I got to talk to the board. I got to do this. Well, one thing is you could eliminate this up front by asking, when you set the appointment for the sales presentation, are all the key decision makers going to be there? We're afraid to ask, but we need to. We've got to ask that up front. Okay. Now let's assume that for whatever reason, even if we did ask, because I've done that, and then they tell me after the fact, oh, I've got to talk to my spouse, which is a big one. That's probably the one I get next to pricing. It's the one I get the most. You know what? I don't make any decisions, which, by the way, I love when people are like, I don't make any decisions without my spouse. I'm like, come on, really? Like none? I've been married 25 years, 5 children. It's a divide and conquer many times. Like I wouldn't want to be involved in every decision my wife makes, right? So there's certain ways you could do this, okay? The key message across this is you don't need permission. You need support. That's the key, right? You're asking for support.